Oh no. God, these fumes are so bad. If only there was some way to get rid of them. Oh, wow. A Fume Clear FC100A. That's right, special shout out to Fume Clear for sending this over. They sent me this for free. They didn't send me any money, but they did send me the device. And because fume extraction is kind of, you know, something that occurs in the 3D printing space, laser engraving space, they decided to send it out to me. So I'm here taking a look at it. I don't solder very often anymore, but sometimes I do. And well, when I'm doing heat sets in 3D printed parts, sometimes my little soldering iron jig does touch the plastic and it gives off some fumes. And so this will be a nice little thing to have. And so this is kind of like the entry-level model. It's especially useful if you do run a laser engraver. If you have a laser engraver, I'm sure that you maybe already have one of these or considered one of these, or maybe you just have like a fan blowing the fumes away. But this is a little better, kind of a more prosumer industrial type of setup. There's no assembly. There's just filters that you put in there and you turn it on and it sucks the fumes away. It's got this gooseneck here that you put where you want it to suck up the fumes, and it sucks up the fumes, runs it through the filters here, and you're good to go. Also particularly useful if you're wanting to print some of those more exotic materials that, you know, have to have an enclosure and potentially do give off some toxic fumes or gases during the print process. Well, you can kind of hook this up and suck it all out and it will filter it through. If you want to check out this FC100A, links in the description below. They provided me the link and you can check them out. They seem to be a popular name in this space. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you like this type of advertisement or if you prefer something a little more professional. And what is up, guys? Technical Tinkers here, checking in on our 3D print operation for today. Just trying out this at-home 3D startup printer thing, learning a lot as I go because I'm basically unfamiliar with 3D printers. Well, I'm getting more familiar. All your tips, feedback, and suggestions in the comments make a huge difference, so keep them coming. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Join me in this journey. It's just exhibition. It's just for fun. It's not instructional, so just have a good time. What am I working on today? Well, if you saw yesterday's video, you know that I chased in power to feed all of my printers because the Orange Storm Giga here, she's hungry. She pulls about 1,800 watts on the while she's spinning up to heat up all the beds. Now, it doesn't pull that much during active print. Right now, 654 watts. It's in the middle of a print. Everything else is off, and that's because, well, after these two printers finished up yesterday with the Rhinoceros and the character model, I wanted to let them finish and then go through and plug the things in to where they need to go. Obviously, this one's not going to be unplugged. It's going to stay where it stays, but we're going to be working on that today. But what's going on here? Well, we have an active print on the Orange Storm Giga. It's our first real print. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, but it is one of the most basic things ever. Well, I don't know exactly about basic because it's a T-Rex head. Well, it's a skeleton of a skull of a T-Rex. This is like one of the most popular models on MakerWorld. And I didn't see anything on MakerWorld about it being a non-attribution or anything, or if, you know, I'm not allowed to sell it. I plan on selling this, if assuming the print goes through, because I obviously scaled it up to be quite large. So right now it's barely up, but once it's done, I think it's going to be probably close to 30 inches. I'd have to look at the model again to see what the Z height is. But it's big, and so this is only one section of the skull. The jaw, I didn't want to do it on the same print just in case there was an error on one side or the other with like adhesion or whatever, so I'm just going with the big section for now. Obviously, it's going very slow on the perimeters, and that's by design because, again, this is my first real print. I wanted to really dial it in, so I watched the first few layers. I was watching for bed adhesion, for Z offset. The infill could be a lot lower. I think I put it at like, I don't know, 10% or something like that. But it's only 2 wall loops because, well, you know, it's just 2 wall loops. My main concern was in the beginning when it started doing the perimeters. There were a lot of areas where it looked like on inside corners it was pulling away. And so I went up here into settings. I'm almost afraid to even go into settings. I dialed the speed down 2%, dialed the extrusion up by 4%. and did some adjustments on my Z offset, and it seems to be coming out great. So I started this yesterday about, I want to say about 10 hours ago, and so it's been going for quite a while. The surface finish looks great, to be honest. It's a 0.48 layer height. The overhangs look really good, but it is a little slow. So as I get more comfortable and as I get more familiar with the printer, you know, maybe I can turn up the speed or, you know, up the flow, up the speed, but I didn't want to really take any chances with this one. So my biggest concern right now is filament, because I've not done a filament replenishment on this machine yet, and you know, it can give you some of the heebie-jeebies, because like I'm afraid I'm gonna bump the print head in a certain way when I do the filament swap outs, and then it's gonna cause a layer shift or something like that. And this takes closer to 4 kilos of filament just for this one section, so I'm gonna have to do this 3 more times. But hey, all part of the process. I'd rather it fail now than fail on like the 3rd or 4th replacement. So we're gonna be watching that today. Gonna do all the adjustments on the power setup and our rhinoceros. I haven't pulled this off the plate yet. Let's go take a look at this guy. All right, and so rhinoceros head right here. Obviously we did normal supports, and the surface finish is not great because we did just like 2 wall loops, pretty thin, no infill. It's just to get a general idea. It looks like a rhinoceros. Would you agree? So let's try popping this stuff off. Let's just go for it. Just yeet it. Shut up. All right, these coming off pretty good. I mean, again, these kind of supports, I like build plate only style supports personally, because the less contact with the surface, the better. And then here, obviously where these supports were, it's just a matter of more infill, more wall loops, more top layer, whatnots. That's prop. It's just to get the idea, okay? Cut me some slack, Jack. Again, the plan with this, once the T-Rex head is done, is either to, 1, print this in one piece like this on the Giga, which would allow me to make it pretty big. Or this model comes in parts too. So it's like the ear section, the lower jaw section, the front face, the horns are separate. I think it might have a back plate for it as well. And if I do it that way, that would allow me to make it life size. And again, you know, I was thinking like, you know, with these big prints, you know, since, you know, the name of the game with these is not volume. I think it's a better play to print it and wait for that, you know, bougie customer, that Park Avenue baller that wants a life-size Rhino head on his wall. And, you know, I looked around a little bit, and they don't sell it on Amazon or eBay or Etsy, like life-size heads. You know, I'm sure someone will find one and post it in the comments and be like, see, it's only $5. But, you know, off the cuff, I couldn't find any. And so I think there's like an untapped market there. And maybe there are people looking for it. You know, probably a little more research is involved, but I imagine if I do find a life-size Rhino head replica, obviously, that people put on their walls, it will be in the thousands of dollars, just from the cost to ship it alone. And so that's the plan with the Rhino head. I'm not sure how I'll go about it, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Should I do one that's like Giga sized, which is probably like 4 times as large as this, or should I break it into parts and print it on the Giga and make it like just like go for it? Got to pack up her character model over there and get her shipped off because we sold her yesterday. Big happiness there. And the latest addition to the harem, I guess, this character model that came off the printer yesterday. If you've been watching the series, you've seen her on during active print over the past 4 or 5 days. Took a very long time. Came out very nice. I did not do adaptive layer height, but it doesn't seem to have made that huge of a difference. Now on these really flat parts, on the top of her thigh there, you can certainly see it. It's very terracey. Some of the other, I mean, that's really the only part, maybe back here. But overall, I think it looks great. The one thing, there's always at least one thing that drives me insane, is that here on her face you can see a little fleck of black. I guess it was just like a little piece hanging off the nozzle when it came around to do the print. That's baked in. It's not just sitting on the surface. Believe me, I tried and I started scraping at it and I started damaging it. I'm like, of course, it's always like right there. And you know, I don't know how to really, I'm not painting it. I'm not sure exactly how to remedy that. So it makes it more real. We'll advertise it that way. It's like you could tell this was made like sort of by hand. Anyway, the only parts that we need left are the little Zippo lighter. Now, the scaling on these wasn't one for one. The body I scaled up and it wasn't like proportional, and I wasn't trying to bother design. So I just printed like a concept here, kind of eyeballed it, and then I put it here, and it seems like it needs to be like maybe 1 millimeter extra on that dimension, and that will scale correctly. And then the pipe section, I just printed them in solid color because these are just to test the size. Seems like it should be a pretty good size because this does have to glue in place. So that seems roughly the correct proportion. So that, scale this up a little bit, print the multicolor, glue them in place, and she'll be good to go. Her, I mean, considering how long it took to print it, I think it's probably in the same range. You know, because these, I was gonna like put these in my stores, and I might just go ahead and put this first one in the store, and maybe print another one to like list on the Etsy and just have it available for sale if someone wants to come in and buy it. But yeah, I'm super duper impressed with this. Nice long flowing hair. The turquoise came out nice because this is just standard Elegoo PLA, turquoise PLA. The rest of it is all bamboo matte, and you can kind of get that sense from it. It's not shiny, which I really like. I prefer it for these models. You got her nails done. The eyes are in green because she's one of these kind of people. So yeah, super cool example there. I do get a lot of comments, people asking about like the climate in here, like when the garage door opens, because I do have a mini split in here and it keeps it a consistent temperature. But like when the garage door opens, it's obviously getting to be that cold time of year. It is 41 degrees outside right now. So my wife left about 20 seconds ago, right before I pressed record, and a swoosh of cold air just came in. And so I'm gonna like use this as a benchmark to kind of see if it made a difference, because the Giga is printing, it's low to the ground, so the coldest of air is gonna like swoop in and sit there being cold. And it'll happen again in an hour and a half when she gets back. So just kind of make a note here of this section of the print. Honestly, I think it'll be all right though, because if temperature fluctuations like that, while stark, while dramatic, that is a shock. If that's gonna make a difference, then, you know, I should probably look into some other method of printing. I don't know if I want to put an enclosure on this. I know they make enclosures for the Giga. I already reached out to the guy asking for a free one. But I don't know if I want to go and do that. All right, next step. Get rid of the Orange Storm Giga boxes. This will go well. All right, so we're back. Hopefully I look a little bit better. Someone was giving me guff about my camera, so I'm like, all right, I'll get the good camera out. So checking in on things, it's kind of like I guess the new version of the midday update. Over here on Cobra 1, we've got some rep racks coming out. And so I've got this rep rack system over here. Thought I'd take the opportunity to, you know, maybe add one more layer here, since I kind of know where the Giga is and what it's going to be about. And I downloaded the shelf of it because, you know, it's always nice to have some more storage. The file said to print it without a top and bottom layer, which I thought was kind of crazy, but it kind of came out pretty cool. This is just gyroid infill. It's kind of like a utilitarian. It's got some flex to it, which, you know, I don't particularly mind. So these just clip right on here. It'll be a nice little added bonus. Could always use more storage. Got all the printers up on the different circuits and the different power sort of situations that they have. So as far as 3D printing goes, I haven't really started anything. Soball over here going on some more of those rep racks. Put the chute back on the P1P and the A1, and these covers are quiet. I did a leveling on these. It's kind of like a maintenance day, I guess. Really just been watching the giant dino skull, and I can't believe none of you mentioned it back there. None of you caught it. I did not have the filament sensor plugged in. Super rookie move. I had it plugged in to itself back here and not plugged in to the header that goes down into the control board. And so I just happened to be in here when the filament spool was getting low, I'm like, all right, let's test it out. I snipped it, waited for it, didn't stop. I'm like, where are you gonna stop? And so then I noticed the problem, so I swapped it out. It looks to be okay. There's no noticeable shift. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, so kind of down here you can see kind of where the line is a little bit right here. You know, you can see that. But honestly, the thing that gives me the most pause are these overhangs because they are so sharp. You see how it's going so slow. And if you notice, and so being completely honest, it makes me kind of nervous when I see that, printing that overhang like that, because all it takes is one. But hopefully, I'll maybe look at the model because I'm kind of looking at it here. And it's really just this jawbone that's like the bad overhang. And once it gets past that, it's all kind of going up. Now, when it gets to the teeth, I've got some concerns there because those teeth are on a sort of a severe overhang. You know, it said print it without supports. So hopeful here, and because they're so high up, like if they don't print, like I'm just gonna have to cancel it. I don't think there's really any way to salvage it. All right, and sort of the final thing I wanted to work on today, well, our character model, we're currently printing the like the pipe and the little Zippo that she holds. So hopefully that comes out. That should be done by morning. Surprisingly, it takes a surprisingly long time for like a 3 or 4 color print, but I had to stack them a certain way. But what I would have wanted to work on the rest of the day was the COLT Python, because we're so close to the end. Haven't really worked on it in a few days. The gig has been taking up all my time. So we've got this section. If you've been following the channel, I've printed this finally, but the scaling is off. And someone suggested go back to the beginning and scale the model up to the size it's gonna be and then cut it into parts. And that would have been a really good idea to do from the start. And I think that's what I did with the Glock. But this one has been back and forth so many times that, I'm kind of running into some issues. But I don't want to go back and do that. But what I think I'm going to do is go back through and make one more modification, because when I went to put the cylinder on here inside, I had a post that I printed in the model and it broke off because there's so little infill because it's so big. It just broke off. The stress just snapped it off. It's long and protruding, and I kind of want a little better solution for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the probably Tinkercad, because I haven't really done anything with plasticity yet. It takes a surprising long amount of time to do all this stuff, if you can believe it. But what I'm going to do is put these together and then put the post here and just make a little void on each side, and then print the post separately. So that way when Mr. Customer gets it, it'll just be, in here. Actually, I could just make it, well, I couldn't make it part of the cylinder because I couldn't print it flat, so it's gonna need to slide in. I was gonna say I could just put the cylinder as make it part of this and then slide it in, but then I'm not gonna be able to print this flat on its surface. So little negative cavity here, a little recess there. You put in the post, you put this in, and that way this will be able to spin freely, and that'll be like a nice kind of effect, kind of a moving sort of model. But I do have to scale it up. So I'm gonna compare this to the one that I already printed. I'm gonna get a final measurement on it and kind of say like, okay, how big can I make this? Because this section will come assembled with the actual grip, the handle. So all in, it's really the measurements, from here all the way back to here. And this smaller version is still like 21 inches, I think. So I'll probably try to take it up to like that 30-inch mark, I think. Really just to the point to where I can make sure that it doesn't go into an oversized category, but splitting it into 2 parts, it's not even a concern. So go through, put that in, get those like revised sections started to print, and then hopefully, ideally, we can have a model like, that we can count on. So just want to go through, it's kind of like a final check. But as far as everything else goes, like all the settings are kind of dialed in, the voids are filled, and the layer heights work fine. I got a fresh level on all the Cobras, so should be able to go through. The dowels are all correctly sized. It fits together flush. So I'm confident there. I don't foresee any sort of issues. And I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out and seeing what I got going on. If there's any particular section or anything that you find particular interest in, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to engage with the video if you're not subscribed, because a lot of my viewers are not subscribers. consider subscribing to the channel. It looks good to vendors, and they send me free stuff when you subscribe. And yeah, just let me know what you want to see. Be sure to like the video because it's a nice thing to do. And of course, how many times am I going to tell you to subscribe? Subscribe for more content like this. I'm the Technicals. See you next time.